What's going on, friends? It's your girl Fire Ash again, and I am here with a new series called Healing After Heartbreak. And within this series, I just plan to go through some of my experiences, ask a lot of questions. I need to know some answers, but also to invite you on this journey to heal with me, to grow with me, and also to glow with me, because I plan on growing and glowing in the name of Jesus. But with that being said, I guess we could just jump right into the topics that I have. So like I said, I'm coming here with questions. I have a lot of things I want to talk about, and I may not cover it all in one episode, but I do want to at least start putting fillers out there. So one of the questions that was on my mind recently was, when is too soon to introduce people to your family? And the reason I asked this question is because there was a period of time where I was dating somebody, and I ended up introducing them a little early on. It was very early on, if I tell my business. And I remember this conversation I had with my grandma. She had said, "Ashley, I'm gonna need you to come back to me in 6 months. And after 6 months, we can talk about it." At the time, I was like, "Grandma, like, he it." Apparently, I'm like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, because it's at least 2 to 3 people I done thought like, "Oh, this could work out." Why? Because as I mentioned in my previous videos, I had been so interested in potential that I was not reflecting on what it looked like to be dating in purpose. So I was talking to this guy, and once again, he was a man of God, and obviously I'm a woman of God. So I thought that that was the standard. If a man says that he loves God, then okay, we can try to date. But I didn't realize that one of the key aspects I was missing was identifying the fruit. Because anybody can say that they love God, that they are saved, sanctified, and delivered. Anybody can say that God is first or head in their life, but their actions and the fruit actually shows the manifestation of the truth. And what I didn't do was I didn't take enough time to actually pay attention to the fruit. And instead, because I was ultimately interested in the fact that he loved God, I went in and I dated him. And I dated him pretty quick. And another thing that messed me up was I dated him quick because I thought this was how they did things in the kingdom. I was so accustomed to dating people outside of the Christian community that, you know, if it took time, it was like, yeah, okay. But I thought, oh, he must know what he wants. But what I didn't know was that love bombing is a real thing, a legit thing that I was inexperienced with until this situation. But to get back to my question, when is too soon to introduce somebody to the family? How do you know it's time to introduce somebody to your family? Because in my case, I introduced early in this specific situation. Because in my case, in this specific situation, I introduced early. I thought, because this is kingdom, like, okay, well, yeah, he knows what he wants. I know what I want. Let's date and be together. We know. And this is God, so we know. So we can introduce each other to the family. And like I said, I remember my grandmother saying to me, "Come back to me in 6 months." Now, because she said that to me, I was offended initially, like, "Ma'am, why you not peeping game like I'm peeping game? He love God, I love God. It's just gonna make sense." Yeah, that didn't happen. So we went on to date, right? And we dated for, I think it was about 5 months, going on 6 months. We were about to hit the 6-month mark. And I was about to go and gloat in my grandma's face like, "Girl, we made what the girls be doing." I don't know what they do. We made the 6. Like, here we are. We 6 and we official. It's finna be long term. This is my thought process. But then, right before we hit 6 months, we broke up. Sad face emoji. We broke up, and it got so weird in the end. It was so weird. Like, have you ever had a relationship and it was like good, super good in the beginning, and then out of nowhere it gets weird and you're like, what happened? Like, I thought we was doing good. We was locked in, boxed in. Shout out to my boy Darius, because that's a part of his song. But like, it got super weird. And what I didn't understand is the reason it got weird is because I started praying more. Now, given I had prayed in the beginning of the relationship, beginning of entering into any kind of form of dating with them, I did pray. And at the time, I believed that I heard God say yes. And I'm going to be honest with you, I still believe that God told me yes. I still do. Because the end results that came with it, the outcomes that were associated with it was nothing but God. I also believe in the scripture where Joseph said what they meant for evil, God meant for my good. And let me explain why I say that. Because even though I ended up in a situation that didn't turn out to be what I thought it was, everything that happened after that was purpose for my good. I started getting connected in ways that I could have never expected. When I say I was blessed by being in that relationship for the short amount of time, regardless of whether it flourished or not, it was a blessing that was attached to it. And it was after that relationship that I began to understand that all things truly work together for the good. My purpose was unlocked because of me having that first encounter and interaction. Now, given it did suck that we didn't end up in a full-time relationship, but what I got out of it was far greater. And one thing that I want to communicate to people is even if it didn't work out, there was a reason that God allowed you to be in that. There was something that you can still pull from. There was something that pulled you to grow. There was something that called something out of you. Dating always either exposes or, how do I say this? For me, every time I date somebody, I become a better version of myself. Why? Because I take the lessons with the blessings. I understand that they're an ex, which means they're no longer existing in my relationship category. Thank you, God. I understand that they're an ex, and a lot of people want to say like, okay, they non-existent. I mean, they still exist, but they're an example. They're either an example of what I don't want or an example of what I could desire in the future. They're an example. I don't look at my exes as, oh, they just suck. No, they were examples. And now I know that's not something I want. Or now I know, you know what? I like that characteristic, or I like that thing that we had. I can now start to understand what I like. I'm in the process of healing. And it's not just like, oh, I just got out of a relationship. I didn't. I'm just understanding that now I'm choosing to heal. Why? Because I do want to be in a relationship. I do actually want to date. But I don't want to go into a relationship broken. I don't want to go into a relationship still carrying the same weight of my past. I want to do my due diligence and start healing now. Because I do believe that God is going to send a phenomenal man, a great godly man, a man of substance, a man. But why wait until the man comes to do the healing? I want to heal right now. I want to chase after my healing. I want to embody my healing. I want to enjoy my healing. And a part of my healing is honestly sharing the things that I've learned from it. So when you talk about an ex, instead of always associating an ex with such a negative connotation, how about you refer to the examples, refer to the lessons, refer to the blessings that did come from it? Baby, I got some crazy relationship stories, but with each one, I learned something. Whether I learned something about myself, I learned to take myself more seriously. I learned to appreciate the worth that I carry. I learned something. I don't take exes the way everybody else does. It's like, oh, that was just something I grew from. Thank you for your time in my life. And now we're going to level up and keep elevating. But back to my question, because I kind of got a little off there. My question still stands. When is too soon to introduce? Or how do you know when it's time to introduce somebody? And I also want to pose this question to people that are in relationships. I almost want to say successful, but everybody might have their own different definition of what it means to have a successful relationship. So my question is, how did you know when it was time or it was appropriate to introduce your partner to your family? And how did that go? I want to know the real tea. Like they say, clock that tea. I want to know the real tea. Tell me seriously, especially those who are in the kingdom. How did you know it was time to introduce your partner to your family? Because for me, I'm still trying to learn that. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm torn between I ain't telling y'all nothing until I know, no, 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 no. And at the same time, I have such a good relationship with my family. I'm like, well, I do want them to know, no, 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 no. I need them to peep out. Like, is this dude a flake? Is he somebody I should really be entertaining? Is he somebody I should be talking to? They might see something I can't see. So my question right now has been, how do you know? And like I said, I'm just inviting people on this journey to heal with me. So I'm wondering, like, how did you know? For my little, I don't want to say my little, for my more mature, seasoned relationship relationship ganders, my relationship masterpieces, my relationship, I ain't gonna call y'all goals. Yeah, I got my own goals. My relationshipers, that might be it. How did you know? So that is my first question. How did you know, or how will you know it is time to introduce your partner to your family? That's my first question. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is being guarded versus having boundaries. Something that I've learned is that when we don't heal from trauma or past wounds, we begin to pick up what I call our walls, right? They're defensive walls. They don't let people in and they don't let emotions out, right? A lot of people go around saying, oh yeah, I'm cold-hearted, and it's like a thing of pride, right? And I can say this because I came from a place where I thought it was like a badge of honor to be cold-hearted. Like, you can't hurt me. You can't even get in. You can't get to me. I won't be vulnerable with you. But what I didn't realize is that I was binding myself from being able to experience true love. And it's not just love in a romantic feel. It's love. Love for my friends. Love for my family. Because I'm so guarded, I don't want to let anybody in. I'm missing out on being able to let love and be loved. So I wanted to come on here and differentiate what it means to be guarded versus having healthy boundaries. Being guarded is coming from a place of hurt, it's trauma, it's things that you have not dealt with. It's still unhealed trauma that is revealing itself. Why? Because you don't want to let anybody in. You can't trust somebody. You don't believe in people. You don't trust people. You don't have faith in people because of something that hurt you in the past. Now everybody else that comes into your life have to succumb to the hurt that was issued out from that last person. It's the baggage that you still carry. The difference between being guarded versus having boundaries is when you have boundaries, you are able to love people. You are able to receive love, but you also begin to have a standard for your love. You have a standard for how you treat yourself and how others treat you. You begin to train people on how to treat you. You don't just let them handle you or mishandle you in any way. No, I got boundaries for that. You will not mismanage me anymore because I have boundaries. No. I can do this, but I won't do that because I have boundaries. Setting boundaries is healthy. It's from a healthy space. But when we are super guarded and we cold-hearted, that's not healthy, baby. You need to heal. There's still some healing to do. And I believe it's important for us to even talk about this because there's so many people that are taking pride in being guarded. There are so many people that's taking pride in hurting other people. I remember at some point I used to think, oh, well, I'll play them before they play me. That's so unhealthy. Now that I'm truly like saved and free in my mind, that is just such an unhealthy mindset. Let me play them before they play me. It's an unhealthy, toxic cycle of hurting people. When do we stop hurting people and we start healing? The whole reason why I'm starting this series is because I want us to heal together. I want us to address the broken wounds that at some point we decided we no longer had to address. I want us to begin to address the things that go deeper underneath the surface, the things that hinder us from being able to love in purpose. I want us to heal together. I want us to really experience love. And I'm not just talking about in a romantic way. I'm talking about being able to love and trust people again. Having boundaries does protect your peace. It helps you instill, I don't want to say walls. It helps you instill ways to protect what is valuable to you. You see, when you are guarded, like I said, nothing comes in and nothing comes out. That's when you start to feel like, oh, I'm emotionless. I don't feel any emotions. And given, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that identifies to me that there's still hurt. Why do I say that? Because a person that says they don't care have conditioned themselves not to care. But on the inside, they've been conditioned by not caring because of something that they cared about that hurt them. You see where I'm going? You've been conditioned to not care, but you've been conditioned to not care, but it comes from a place that you once cared about. We need to heal. Simply put, we gotta heal. And I'm okay with being the first one to say, I'm ready to expose all little things that I didn't want to address. So, yeah, that's really what I wanted to say on boundaries and being guarded. Like, at what point do we choose to heal and move on and be able to love? Because I also believe that what if there were a group of people? I don't want to make it so simple as to just focus on a love, romantic love. Well, there was a group of people, right? That was an answered prayer that supported you, that encouraged you, that unlocked something in you that you never knew you had. What if it was a group of people out there like that wanted to just love you? But because of your hurt of not being able to trust people, you like, man, this too good to be true. I can't trust y'all. I don't even know y'all. Y'all acting like y'all like me from the jump, but I done had people like that in my past that love me and blah, 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 blah. And because of your past interactions, you're going to miss your present blessing. Because of your previous hurt, you're going to miss the beauty that's sitting right in front of you. I think it's time to address the trauma of our past so we can start healing and being able to experience the beauty of the present. So that's all I have to say on that topic. Let's move on to yet another topic that I've been thinking about. Tough conversations when dating. When you start dating someone, what kind of questions do you ask? Now, I'm not saying like, I don't even know like the protocols for dating and if you should wait to have the tough conversations after maybe 2 or 3 days of fun. I don't know what the standard is for dating. I haven't really dated in some time. I really don't know how this thing goes. That's where the internet is supposed to help me. Y'all help me, help you, help us. Somebody got to help us. I don't know what the standard is, but I want to know, when do you start introducing tough questions in dating? I ask this question because I believe that we've done the what you doing, what do you want to do when you get older. We've done that like for so long. We've done the surface level questions for so long that at some point it needs to get deep. I realized from one of my previous situations that thanks to them asking tough questions, they actually did me a favor because it saved us heartbreak because we were asking questions off the jump. Now look, I don't know about y'all, but I watched this show called The Chi, right? And there's 2 characters on there. It's Dom and Jamal. I think that's their names. And I noticed they didn't ask any questions. These mugs got married after the 2nd episode of dating. Now, given this is a TV show, but they didn't ask any questions. And so now, after 2 days of being married, these mugs need counseling because they ain't asked no questions. And so in dating, I think, me personally, you should be intentional and ask the hard questions. I need to know. And I give it, once again, I don't know if you ask this on the 3rd date. Y'all can comment below. Let me know in the comments. Do you ask on the 3rd date the tough questions? Do you start them off rip when y'all texting and getting to know each other? Do you ask them on the 1st date? Like how the 1st date supposed to go? I don't know. All I'm saying is at some point, tough questions needs to be implemented because I need to know for real. Like, I want to date with intention. and within purpose, right? Because I already know, like, I'm living a purpose-driven life, and I want to make sure that if I'm considering partnering myself with you, because at the end of the day, I'm looking for marriage. I'm looking for marriage. I'm not looking for a good time, for a short time. I'm looking for the long haul. I am a wife. And so I'll wait with intention until somebody sees me as what I already am. I'm a wife. It says, he that findeth a wife. I know that God has shaped me to be a wife. I just ain't been found yet. But there's nowhere in me that is so desperate to be in love that I'm gonna bypass important questions I need to know that impacts my purpose. You see, when I was dating before, I didn't consider my purpose and how it would play with dating. Because once we become married, now we become one, and now if I don't ask any questions, I won't know if you contribute to my purpose or if you're robbing my purpose. Are you pushing me into my destiny, or are you preventing me from walking in who God created me to be? Tough questions are vital. They're vital. You need to ask certain things. I need to know, what are your habits? Do you love the Lord? Do you study your word? Can you pray for me? Now, given those some basic questions, but like legit, I had to ask some real life questions. Like, do you want kids? Because let me tell you something. I want kids, and if you don't want to have kids, we just not gonna be together. That's a deal breaker. I cannot date somebody who does not want to have kids. If you already had your kids and you like, yeah, I'm done with that. Okay, well, I know off rip because I asked this intentional question. We not gonna make sense. And I think I actually want to rephrase it. Instead of saying tough questions, I want to say intentional questions matter. When you're dating, are you willing to be intentional about what matters? I was given some advice by a brother who told me, when you're dating, ask a man about his intentions. What are your intentions for me? Are you looking to date for fun, for pleasure? Are you looking to date for marriage? Those questions need to be asked, because if I'm being honest, if my objective is marriage, that's my goal, and your objective is pleasure, then we may not need to waste each other's time, because I'm being intentional about what it is that I want. If I would have asked more intentional questions in the beginning of dating situations, I probably wouldn't have been in the situations. I think I was so in the let's get to know each other, asking the little basic surface level questions, that I was missing the warning signs. And it's not to say that they were red flags. It was just flags that didn't make sense for me. Number one, if you don't want to have kids, okay, clearly we don't need to be talking. Number two, if you're not really a family oriented person and you don't want to be around my family, we probably don't need to talk. Number three, how do you love? How do you communicate? How do you solve problems? It's so many questions that I feel with intention, they matter. Because I don't want to wake up one day married to a stranger that I never knew, because I never got to know you for who you truly were, because I never got to know your mind, never got to know your thoughts, never got to know your heart, never got to really know your actions. Now we in counseling because we never asked the questions. I'm telling you, this series is healing after heartbreak. I'm trying to tell you, I done learned a few things. I might not know it all because I'm clearly not married, but I do know with experience, ask intentional questions. Please do yourself and them a favor. Ask the questions. Even if it feels weird, even if it feels awkward, or just like, I don't know why I feel the need to ask you this. Let me ask. Because, baby, let me tell you something. I almost partnered myself with some people, and now that I think about it, I'm like, I should have asked more questions. But thankfully, Jesus delivered me from my mom. Okay, so moving on to the next topic. How do you pray for a spouse? So I'm leaving this topic open to anyone. It could be my single friends who are currently praying for a spouse, or it could be my friends who are dating or in a relationship. How did you pray for your spouse? I'm asking, once again, this is Healing After Heartbreak. We are learning together. Let's grow and glow together. How do you pray for a spouse? How do you be intentional about waiting for God to give you a spouse? What was that process like for you? Like I said, drop in the comments. Tell me your story. I really want to know. I do not call myself an expert because really I'm learning as I go. But I also want to know, like, how did you pray for a spouse? I also, like, another question I have is, do you date somebody who doesn't have, or okay, like, let's say this. Let's say you in the faith and like you like, I'm in the faith. I don't drink, I don't do certain things, right? And then you meet somebody who believes in God, but they're not necessarily in the faith fully, right? Do you date them or do you decline? That is a question that I've wondered. What do you do when it seems as if their faith, your faith, doesn't match? Because on the one side, I think about being unequally yoked. That's my first and foremost thought. Like, well, I don't know how well this is going to feed each other. But on the other side, I think about how there have been couples who, like, the man might have not been that deep in the faith, but because of the relationship, the man, like, he grew, and, you know, seeing him to this day, like, he's a whole different reformed or transformed person. But I think it goes back to the same question I think it goes back to the same thought that I had in the beginning. If you ask intentional questions, you can begin to make decisions based off of their responses. So if a person, you decide, you ultimately see, what I had to realize is you're in control of your dating situation. You can say no to something. You don't have to just say yes because they like you or y'all got chemistry. If it don't make sense, it don't make sense. One of the hardest things somebody told me that hurt my feelings, but it was true, is we aren't compatible. Now, given, I thought there was potential in a lot of areas, but they were actually right. I kid you not. I kid you not. They were actually right. And it was a hard pill to swallow, but at the same time, it was the truth. Like, when two things, just because I feel like a parent, when two people love each other, they come together. No, seriously, when two people like each other, just because on the surface it feels right, you know, it feels good, that doesn't mean long term this makes sense for us. So, weigh the pros and cons. Back to my first disclaimer, ask intentional questions. Save you a lot. Save you some heartbreak. I'll tell you that, because if only I could have saved myself some of the heartbreak, it would have been great. But here I am, learning and growing with you. So then, another conversation I wanted to talk about, or another topic. This is, I don't even know what to call this episode. This episode might be called, like, I don't know, Flash Questions with Ash. I don't know. But I wanted to talk about ghosting. I really want to talk about ghosting because I'm about to step on your toes when I say this. Ghosting is a sign of immaturity. It is. It is. Argue with somebody else, not me. The only, and I mean the only time I would say maybe ghosting is appropriate is if they didn't get the message when you communicated the first time. But if you just don't communicate at all, yeah, ghosting is immature. And I say this as someone who has been ghosted, and I also ghosted before as a reformed ghoster. It shows that you can't have healthy conversations and communicate effectively. In one of the, I would say, last situations that I experienced, one of the brightest sides of it all was there was communication. Before walking away from the table, there was communication on both fronts, and we just let it be known, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I'm involving you in this decision. What do you think? This is what I'm feeling. This is what you feeling. And we were able to part ways. And it was like, because we had that conversation, I didn't feel this void. I didn't feel like I had more that needed to be said. It was just like, okay, well, all right. But to just ghost somebody, and you could check me in the comments if you want. Like, we could talk about it. Let's talk. But I truly feel like ghosting is such an immature thing, because why can't you just communicate and just share? Now, given, I will say there are some people out there who are also immature, and they ain't gonna be able to hear it, right? But I think that we at least owe the person on the other end the one attempt. I'm not saying you give them one attempt, and then if they're starting to go crazy after that and they're just not listening, okay, let it go. But what I'm saying is, people deserve to be communicated with. At least tell them the one time. Let them know, I'm just not feeling this. This isn't working. I think we get so caught up in not hurting somebody's feelings that we ghost, and yet you still do the damage. Ghosting is very selfish. It is, because you don't want to have to deal with the fallout of what you're about to do or how you're feeling, because ultimately you're saying I'm preserving their feelings, but really you're not, because you're leaving them on red, and now they don't even know what happened. Then they begin to question themselves. They're wondering, what did they do wrong? Let me tell you, as somebody that's been ghosted, I was like, what did I do? I thought it was going great. But the thing is, sometimes people change how they feel in the midst of a situation, which is okay. But when you don't communicate that with a person you're talking to, now that's where you lose me. And like I said, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but I got to keep it real. When you ghost people, that is just so, to me, it's beneath me. Like, that also shows me another form of immaturity, another form of maybe a need of healing. Because why can't you have effective communication? Why can't you communicate what's going on? So that was another topic that I just thought of. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I wrote down a whole list of things that I was just thinking about throughout the week. And I think what I might do is I might just post a video where I just go through different topics of stuff that I've experienced, things I have questions about, and just share it with you, and we could just talk in the comments. But yeah, ghosting, I just think is very immature, and I don't recommend it at all. It's 0 stars. To hear it, like, even if a friend told me like, oh yeah, I ghosted them, I would tell them like, so you don't want to be accountable? You started interacting with this person, but you don't want to be accountable for their feelings after you have changed yours? Selfish. I'm gonna be honest, it's selfish. Just communicate the one time. After that, you're done. You don't have to say anything else after that. Just let them know. I would say you owe them an explanation, but at the same time, you don't. It was your choice. You decided against it, but just communicate. Healthy communication can save a lot of heartbreak. That's the truest thing I've ever said. Healthy communication saves heartbreak. Communicate with these people, folks. And then my next question is it better not to date your friends? Why do I say this? Because I've often wondered, Heavenly Father, will my husband not be my friend first? And I don't mean like, he's not gonna be my friend. What I mean is, I have a lot of friends, and I used to think like, oh, well, maybe he's gonna be just somebody I already know, like one of my friends. And then my mom was like, after so many disappointments, she was like, he ain't gonna be one of your friends, he gonna be somebody new. And so now I'm in a new era, like, yeah, God, just send me somebody new. My friend circle, I love all of them, and at this point, the ones that I did kind of have interest in, we already discovered that it didn't work. So with that being said, I have no more friends that I would be interested in. It was like a good 3 of them. I tried all 3, and bada bing, bada bang, didn't work. Am I sorry? Yes, it's okay. But should you date your friends? And the reason I pose this question is because I had 3 different friends at 3 points in my life. They were all different. I dated one of my, Lord, I'm gonna expose myself. I dated 2 of my long-term best friends, guy friends. They were my long-term friends. I dated one who I knew since high school. We were best friends, I think, since high school and middle school. That didn't turn out well. I dated another close male friend who I knew after graduating high school, and we had a very close relationship. And it ended. But the reason I asked that question is because I went from being so close to these people that I no longer talk to them. It's like we're strangers. Like, oh my goodness, how do you heal after being close friends with somebody and then you're now strangers? Doesn't that suck? It's like I have to grieve you while you're still alive, and I have to see, I can't even pretend somebody doesn't exist, because it's like, well, if you held a spot in my heart, you still kind of have a spot in my heart. So even if we don't communicate, I still kind of got that love for you. So it makes me pose the question, like, should you date your friend? Like, I know there have been like some successful stories where people have been like best friends and they dated, but like, I don't know. I'm just throwing that one out there for the internet to go ahead. Friends, y'all just let me know, like, is it really worth dating your friends? Because I had one of the people that I dated was a friend. They had said, like, I don't want to date because, well, actually, let me rephrase that. I have a close friend who I absolutely adore. I love them. Now, at one point, I was so interested in him. It was years ago. But like years ago, we had a conversation. We talked about like, oh, you know, like, you're attractive, I'm attractive, you're a good person, I'm a good person, blah, blah, blah. This is years ago. And we were like, I could date you, but we made the decision, like, but I don't want to lose this friendship because you mean too much to me. You mean too much to me. And so we didn't date. And to this day, we're like, I love my friend so much. And so it makes me pose the question, like, is it even worth it dating a friend? Like, maybe I should just allow myself to meet new friends. Let me just meet somebody else new. Because at the same time, like, I want to be my partner. I want them to be my friend. Like, I want to be friends with you. I want to get to know you. I want to feel like we're best buds. No, I'm just kidding. I do want to like be best friends with the person I marry. Like, so that's kind of like a thin line for me. Do you date your friend? Do you not? That's kind of one of the parts where I'm like, do I have a boundary here? Like, what do I do? So internet, friends, so I'm leaving a question to you. Do you date a friend or not? To save you the potential heartbreak. Or we could go back to my first motto, ask intentional questions. Okay, so I think I'm gonna maybe talk about one more thing, and then I'll just save the rest of my questions until my next one. So my next question is, what does it look like to be courted by a man who comes with intention? I mean, real men that's out there who court women with intention, please let me know what that look like. Please let me know. What does that look like? I want to know, because one of the questions that I have for such a long time is like, what are acceptable DMs? Especially, and I got to put this filter out there, especially for Christians, what are acceptable DMs? And I'm not just saying like acceptable, like, oh, hey, I want to hear some of the DMs that have blown your mind. Like, oh, that was such a DM. That was such a good DM. I had to respond back. Because like in my past, I've gotten such corny DMs. Hey, beautiful. Now I could just like, it could be me. I could simply be a little toxic. I don't know. But like, I really want to know, a man with intention, how do you court a woman? I've heard people say like, oh yeah, a man who's really dating with intention, he'll watch her from afar. Like he'll watch her before he ever says anything. He'll pay attention to her. He'll watch. And so I want to know, like, is that true? Like, do y'all be out here watching? Do y'all be watching? You like watching her and you like peeping game before you make your step. And like, what makes you determine like, okay, I'm finna shoot my shot. And then when you shoot your shot, how do you authentically show up in the DMs? I know it's such an interesting question. It's something I've been wondering. How do men, because right now I'm focusing on the men, not focusing on the women. And is it appropriate for a woman to shoot the DMs? Because for me, I just think that's where I draw the line. Because I don't think I could. It just feels weird for me to try to shoot a shot in a DM. Judge me if you will. I'm more like, come find me. Come find me. become like me? So that's a question that I have. When I say I have so many questions, and I'm just like, talk to me, let me know. My question is, what is appropriate way to hit somebody up in their DMs? And I mean appropriate. And I'm especially talking to my Christian friends. How do you appropriately hit somebody up in the DMs? Because, like, you also don't want to come lame like everybody else. Hey, heart eyes, heart eyes. Heart eyes will get ignored very quick. Like, how do you appropriately, like, slide in? And then how do you appropriately, like, ask a woman on a date? Somebody asked me before, have you ever dated a man of God? And when I thought about it, I don't think so. I think I just been dating people, and, like, I really want to know what it feels like to date a authentic man of God, a man who truly loves God more than he loves everybody else, that he just want to worship God, he want to serve God, he want his life to reflect God, and he will even go to God to ask about his wife. He would go to God. I just want a man who really loves God, not just with words but with deeds. Let his fruit show. I was about to say show his needs just because it rhymed, but, like, I just want to see what it's like to really experience somebody who has a heart after God. Because I was about to say saddest, but the most honest truth that I've ever heard is a man will not love you properly if he don't know how to first love God, if he don't know how to serve God. Because if we're the bride and he doesn't know how to love like his father loves the church, he won't love you. And that's where things will get jumbled, because that's a topic that hurts. I was expecting a man to love me, but he didn't even know how to love God. And that was a big flag, because if you don't know how to love God, you're going to mishandle me. If you don't know how to walk in the fruit of the Spirit, you're going to mishandle me. So I think that's where I'm going to end it. I have a lot of questions. And if you enjoy this, please give me a like. For sure, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel, become part of the gang. Please don't look at my hands and what I just threw up, because, like, I always throw up just like little things, but don't look too hard, because, like, I honestly don't know what I'm throwing up. It could be a real, like, something out there. I'm saying this God gang, but, like, if them real, like, symbols and stuff, like, just charge it to somebody else, not me, because I just meant, like, come to the gang, fam, like, ice in my blood. I'm so corny, but anyway, that was today's episode of Healing After Heartbreak. Like I said, I just have a lot of questions. I just want to pose it to the internet and see what the internet is thinking, see what my friends are thinking. Let me know. And if you really enjoy this, also, like I said, let me know, and I will post more of my thoughts and questions, and let's just talk. I think my whole thing is, let's talk. Because I'm ready to grow, I'm ready to heal, and I'm ready to glow. And I feel like we could do that together. So that's all I have for this episode. I enjoy our time together, and I cannot wait until we come and talk again. All right, friend. With that, I love you. Peace.